just gonna stop the video right there. So yeah. So I made a video earlier today, and somehow it got deleted off of the phone for whatever reason. I have no idea. So I'm making another one at night in the Oasis. Why not? So what I wanted to cover mostly was talking about photography and the ins and outs of it, and yeah, so we'll see how it goes. A lot of people ask me how I got into photography, how I got started into it. That it's been like that since I was a child, looking at magazines that my parents had hanging around with the Time, the National Geographic. Just would get lost for hours and hours and hours looking at those magazines and all the pictures that were inside of them. Of course, and then there was that famous picture from Steve McCurry off of, I think it was like in 1980 or 81, of the Afghan woman with the really green eyes. A lot of skeptics said that was, picture was heavily edited, but it wasn't. He used film, and later on in life, with I think 20 years down the road, he ended up finding that same woman and actually photographed her holding a copy of that very National Geographic with her on a cover. Also, Annie Leibovitz done so much with the music and movie industry with actors, actresses, and musicians. Like, her pictures are like phenomenal, with them. Also, of course, the man Ansel Adams. He's the one that really pushed me over the edge and got into it because of his simple approach to pictures that were, they're absolutely amazing and beautiful, but very, very simplistic in composition. But he would wait for months and sometimes a year to take a picture the way he wanted it, the way he saw it in his head, which is absolutely amazing. Like one picture, for instance, Moon over Half Dome, took him a year to get the picture that he wanted. He scoped it out, looked at it, framed up the picture, saw exactly where he wanted the moon over Half Dome, and that's what he wanted. And a year later he came back, the moon was in the same position, the same time, took the photo, and there you have it. The rest is history, as they say. The way I go about my photography, the way I enter, take a picture, approach a picture or a subject is, never, for me, it's not straight on. Life, because life isn't straightforward, so I tend to look at it at different angles, different approaches, try to see a subject and or an object a way a person wouldn't look at that object. So, I do shoots, off to the side, off to the center, off to the left, off to the right. Same with when I do my portraits. My portraits are never, straightforward, straight on. It's either to the left or to the right. Because of that fact, like they always say, when you're looking at somebody, when you're talking to somebody, you look them straight in the eye, but I don't like to do that with my photography. So I go, either to the left, either to the right, and, just to fill in the frame, because, you just don't want, for me, the way I see it, I just don't want the whole face to fill up the frame. I want other things in the background, because you're living in the moment, and you want to see those moments that you live in. My landscapes, I do, I tend to try to frame those up with as much or as little as possible, depending on what I'm shooting. A lot of fine details I like to see in the pictures, like the very small fine details, the up close, the things that you wouldn't see in life, because people tend to go a million miles an hour all the time, very, very busy in life, and they, like they say, you don't stop to smell the roses, and you don't see the little things. And to me, the little things are more important than seeing the big picture. With that, when I approach my landscape shots, I look for something that's going to stand out in the picture. Obviously, I do a lot with clouds, love clouds, and when I do my photos of clouds, I should say, or with landscapes with the clouds, I'd love to use my Rokinon 14mm wide-angle lens and, point it straight up and get as get as little of like the foreground and background as possible, and I try to fill up the sky so much with this, with the clouds, and get that angle to really distort them and to make them look stretched out, to make it look like you're lying on your back looking at the clouds going by, different angles like that. Architecture's the same. Some buildings I can kind of take straight forward, but it's from a different view. I might be looking straight up it, not directly at it, or down to the left and down to the right with my wide angle lens, and making the shot look crazy, as if you're like it's in an extreme close up. I do that with a lot of buildings. I like doing that. Also with landscapes, I do like a lot of road scenes. Have you seen, getting down the middle of the road and shooting straight down the road? I like that too. I like looking off into the distance and getting everything, just focusing on one point of the road and having everything else, blurry around you. Because the way I see that usually is that's what you're doing when you're driving. You're focusing on the road, and everything else is, just a blur to you while you're driving. And you don't, kind of myopic in that sense, where you get the blinders on and you don't see anything else around you. That's why everything in my pictures of like roads, shooting down roads, are kind of focused on one central point in the road, and everything else, and in your side vision is blurred. It's blurred out. I really enjoy doing that. Also, what I've been really diving into lately, believe it or not, is weddings. I really didn't want to do weddings, and now I'm doing them, and I'm having a lot of fun doing them. It's quite a tedious task, and I really beat myself up with wedding photography and with any pictures that I do, because I strive to get the best image that I know that I can get, and it's tough for me to do that. Seeing a lot of other people's work on Instagram and Facebook, I get frustrated, but I shouldn't, because that's their style. I have my own style. Everybody has their own style, and that's what makes us all unique, I guess. Is, we all have our own style, our own flair, and and I do what I do because that's the way I see things and perceive things, and that's what I like doing. And even with my photography of bands now, it's taken off for me. It's starting to go in that direction, which I'm kind of excited about. Meeting all these local musicians, and that to me, that's all word of mouth. So that's amazing to me, that as much as it's getting around, where it's really, I don't want to say it's really taken off for me in the Boston area, but it's starting to pick up a bit with a lot of local bands coming out of Boston, which is huge for me. Living out as the sticks, as they so say out here in Shirley, but willing to travel, to go out there and show them what I can do for them. But like I said, my pictures speak for themselves, and and if they're coming to me, they should already seen what they're getting into when they hire me. So but I absolutely love it. It's like a mental therapy for me to go out there and just take pictures, and it's fantastic. I really enjoy it. And that's oh, and I got to cover one other thing. The moon, pictures of the moon. Please don't take pictures of the moon with your phone. You're never ever going to get it. You can use any type of camera, crappy camera, top of the line camera, and you will be able to take a great picture of the moon. And the three things that you really should fine tune when you're taking pictures of the moon is you got your ISO setting, your shutter speed, and your aperture setting. And I start off at about a 7.1 aperture setting, about 200 ISO, and my shutter speed's at about 125, 150, and then from there I'll either start to tweak the finer things. If I want to get like a really good crisp picture of the moon, I try to set my f-stop for about 4.5, 4.5 I should say, and because your focal point on my lens is you know, smack dab in the center of the moon. So that's what comes in really, really focused, all those craters. Full moons, of course, you want to, because they're so bright, I like to stick with like a, you know, anywhere between a 5.6 and a 7.1 aperture. I might drop my ISO down, you know, to the native lowest setting that I can go, which is like on my Nikon D500, it's 100. My ISO setting on my D810 is 64 because of, you know, the moon's so bright. And I'll even drop the shutter speed. I would say drop it down. I'll push it up to like maybe sometimes even 1/500th of a second, just to, you know, get that nice image, that nice crisp, clean image that's not too bright, not too dark, but it's right there. It shows all the details. But you can't take pictures of the moon with your phone. It's like holding a flashlight to it, and it just doesn't work. But if you have any other questions, comments, or queries about photography, feel free to ask me anytime. You know, leave a comment down below, and you know, hit that like button for me, and I'll be talking to you all later. Alrighty, bye bye.